told the people to rise up against Saddam. Now they're getting slaughtered.
Three Kings.
I'll be leaving Casablanca soon, and we'll never see each other again.
Casablanca. Life is Beautiful. What do these three titles have in common? Well, they're all among the favorite movies of the nation's first film goer. And on this special edition of Roger Ebert in the Movies, we'll be going to the White House to talk movies with President Bill Clinton.
Hello, Mr. President. How are you? Thank you for coming here and doing this. I really appreciate it.
Behold his mighty hand.
Maybe it was because I was young, but I thought The Ten Commandments was a good movie. They put Ben-Hur on.
Well, of course, it plays every Easter on television along with Ben-Hur, and people love it. So, The Parting of the Red Sea is one of the great...
Yeah, and Brenner's great on it. He's great. You know, his Ramses, his obsessive Ramses, it was just great.
Come to me no more, Moses. For on the day you see my face again, you will surely die.
You know, it's almost like these movies knit us together as a nation because they're the one art form that everybody shares. Everybody knows what you talk about when you mention the Ten Commandments.
In some ways, the movies are the defining element of American culture.
You know, one thing that has struck me this year, there's been a whole group of movies that seem to be very negative about affluence or consumerism. There was this very popular movie, Fight Club, where the guys, you saw it, where they had to fight each other in order to feel authentic because their IKEA couches were not doing it for them. What did you think about that?
Well, I thought it was a pretty compelling movie. I think Norton and Pitt were good in it. I mean, they played their roles really well.
If you could fight any celebrity, who'd you fight? Alive or dead? Doesn't matter, who'd be tough?
Hemingway. You?
Shatner. I'd fight William Shatner.
Now that we have the most prosperous society we've ever had, it's a good thing for people to remember that life is about more than money. But I also think it's important not to disparage prosperity. For, you know, it gives people the opportunity and the leisure and the security to think about other things. You know, to have the lowest African American and Hispanic unemployment rates we've ever had, to have a 20-year low in poverty, have a 40-year low in female unemployment, these things are not bad. It's just not enough. It's not all there is to life, but it creates the possibility of fashioning a life that has integrity and meaning.
I think so. I gave a negative review to the movie, and I got an email from somebody who said, well, my generation, this is an amazing email, my generation has been denied the opportunity your generation had to fight a war like Vietnam. We don't have any way to test ourselves, so we have to go to movies like Fight Club. And I'm thinking, that's not what wars are for.
The young people, they don't have to deal with Vietnam. But I think if they had, they would find it was way overrated. You know, losing 58,000 people and a whole other generation of people who were alienated from it, and the traumas that so many people went through, and there's not a person who went through it who's still not marked by it in some way. There's still a lot of problems in this world. You know, if they really want to throw themselves into something, they could figure out what to do about the AIDS epidemic spreading Africa and increasingly India and Asia. They could, you know, figure out what to do to save a lot of these kids that are still being lost in our own country. There's still mountains to climb out there. There are things outside yourself to throw yourself into. You don't have to get beat up by somebody you know.
A lot of people think that one of the Academy Award frontrunners is American Beauty. One thing that I wonder is why suburbia is always such a punching bag in the movies.
Well, again, I think in a funny way, it's like Fight Club. It's like, you know, there's got to be more to life than this. Okay, so we've got this nice little neat suburban lifestyle and we're comfortable, and now what? I must say, it was also a disturbing movie, but I thought it was an amazing film.
So what? It's just a couch.
This is a $4,000 sofa upholstered in Italian silk. This is not just a couch.
It's just a couch!
Spacey was amazing. Benning was great. Everybody in that movie, you know, did their part. I mean, it was an amazing movie.
What movie has moved you the most deeply, either recently or your whole lifetime?
Oh, you know, that's very hard for me to say because I'm such an ardent moviegoer. I try to see everything. I'm embarrassed to do this because I can't remember what the American title is, but the story of the 5 German singers and the piano player.
The Harmonist.
The Harmonist.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
That
was
a good
profoundly moving to me. You know, the idea that these 3 Jews and 3 Catholics in pre-Nazi Germany had this sort of jazz group with this sort of 5-part, very tight-written harmony, that they modeled it off an American group they heard, that they became the rage of Europe. They went to the United States. They had to decide whether to stay together. The Nazis said they can't sing anymore because they can't allow the Jews and the Catholics to sing together. I mean, it was, God, it was a moving thing.
You know, I have to say, if I were to sit down and talk to almost anyone in this society of ours, I wouldn't find someone who immediately impressed me as being as knowledgeable about the movies as you just have, because you've mentioned some particular titles, including The Harmonists. I thought I was the only person who had seen that movie. You really are a moviegoer.
You know, when I was an only child till I was 10. Both my parents worked. You could go to the movies for a dime when I was a little boy. And so I saw every movie that came my way when I was a child. And I spent a lot of time in the movies. They fired my imagination. They inspired me, you know. I'm 53 years old, and my favorite movie is High Noon, a movie I saw when I was 6. I just read a fascinating biography of Cooper, which was really interesting because he came into the movies at the very end of the silent era. So you see the movies against the background of the technological changes from silent to talkies to color, and you also see that terrible period where, you know, the blacklisting was going on in the McCarthy era and all that. It's a great book because it chronicles not only Cooper's career, but the background in what was going on in the movies, what was going on in society. And I love the movie also because the author said that he thought High Noon was the greatest Western ever made. So I found one person in America, at least, who agrees with me.
Here's looking at you, kid.
I know probably about the number 2 movie on your favorite list is Casablanca, and the thing that amazes me about that is it's almost 60 years old. It's in black and white, and yet it's one of the classic movies that young people still look at and that everybody still treasures. What do you think is so timeless about it?
First of all, it's a story about love and honor and courage, the stuff that people care about. Secondly, Bogart is fabulous in it, and Bergman brings tears to your eyes. I mean, I still can't watch the movie and I said, God, I wish I'd known that woman. You know, she's just riveting on the screen.
My favorite actress.
Just riveting. And so, you know, when Hillary and I, when we were in law school, I never will forget this. We were in the moot court competition. You know, the trial, and the students had to prepare the trial. So we conceived this whole trial around Casablanca, and Victor Laszlo gets murdered, the Paul Henry character, you know, and so the question is, who did it?
It's just about the perfect movie.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. You know, here's Bogart, who wasn't very tall, wasn't very handsome, had kind of a lisp, needed a hairpiece, smoked too much, and it's just about the most popular movie star of the century just ending.
He's just fabulous. I was thinking about it the other day. I watched African Queen again the other day just to see it because it's just an unbelievable movie. You know, and there was something about him. And he was magic. He was great in the drama. He was a great comedian. He was really funny in the funny roles he had. And in the movies where he played a bad guy, he was a compelling bad guy, but it didn't destroy his box office appeal. And he could do things. He could get away with anything on the screen because he was so authentic.
Yeah, you know, I have a theory that the real movie stars, for me, are the ones who were movie stars when I was still growing up at home. And that the movie stars I meet now as a movie critic are just other people who are about my age. In other words, when I met John Wayne for the first time, I was in awe because he was John Wayne. But if I meet Al Pacino, well, he's Al Pacino. Is there anybody living who you've met who strikes you in the same way as the movie stars of your childhood?
Yeah. De Niro and Streep.
De Niro and Streep.
I think they're of that quality.
So that even when they're in the room with you, they have the star quality that, let's say, Bogart had on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, they both, I've been friendly with them, Hillary and I have. Their gifts and their range are so extraordinary. I mean, you look at all the different roles De Niro's in. He's a Jake LaMotta, and he's a, you know, I mean, he's great in all those Italian mobster movies, but he's got a real range, you know. And I think Meryl Streep's one of the 2 or 3 greatest female actresses ever on the screen. I think there are very few actresses ever in the movies with the range and power she has.
People talk about her accents, even in Music of the Heart, as a music teacher. That's really an accent. That's not the way she talks.
No. Oh, she did great as Roberta Star. She was great. That's a great movie.
And I know you think you're protecting your son, but you're not. I mean, what if Arthur Ashe's mother said he couldn't play tennis because it's a white man's game?
And she also is the best actress when she's not talking. Anybody ever seen? When they make her in Sophie's Choice, she's got to make a decision between which one of her kids to give up. The most inhuman thing, just about the most sort of non-physically violent, inhuman thing ever on the screen, you know, just a picture of her face.
I think you have real good taste. I think actually De Niro's best picture is maybe Raging Bull.
And he gained all that weight, learned about boxing.
Yeah.
Hanks, I think, has got that kind of range too. You know, he's just sort of tactile. You know, he's skinny for Philadelphia, and he puts on this weight for this last movie, and he does all this stuff. I'll make another prediction, though. I just saw the other night Hurricane. And Denzel Washington had to lose all this weight and become a middleweight boxer for it. And, of course, it's an inherently compelling story. I think it will be taken very seriously.
50 years old. I've been locked up for 30 years.
Denzel for Best Actor. I've seen it, too, and I agree with you.
Don't you think it's amazing?
And it starts kind of slow.
Yeah.
You kind of wonder, well, you know, this is another prison picture, and he doesn't belong behind bars. And then what really grabbed me, I was so touched that his book inspired this young boy and then the people he lived with to try to take up his case. And that his love for that boy and for his care for the boy's future kind of gave him a second wind. And suddenly, it's about the heart. It's not about injustice or wrong imprisonment, although that's what it's about, too. But it's about this kid. I mean, that's what's so moving.
I agree with that.
You
know, that how people manage to stay human under inhuman conditions and what it is that keeps them going is one of the great questions of life. I must say, even though a lot of the great movies for us are the older movies, there are probably more talented people acting today than ever before. And there are probably, you know, maybe more bad movies being made, but there are probably more good movies being made than ever before. I mean, they're just, you know, it's still a very vital, vibrant part of our lives.
I know a lot of movie critics would say, and I agree, that the last 4 months have been like a season of miracles because all of a sudden there's just been an explosion of good pictures. Three Kings.
I love Three Kings.
Did you like Three Kings? Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
I loved it I loved it because it accomplished all these different things. I mean, it's a great cheap thrills movie. Clooney's unbelievable. He looks, you know, the screen loves him, and he's, you know, compelling, and all the other guys are good. It's a tragedy as well as a comedy.
Here, once alone, do you want to kill every Arab?
That's what I was trained to do.
No, that was not our training. We got Arab allies, man.
Yeah, well, we got Arab allies.
يقول احنا عندنا حلفاء عرب ويانا. يعني انتم ما راح تقتلون كل العرب. So you don't want to kill every Arab?
Well, it's not.
He's just had no high school.
And then they do all that sort of high-tech stuff showing you how bullet wounds affect the body.
The bullet goes right in the body.
And they do that like a couple of times, which I thought was fascinating. And they tell the very sad story that our country has to come to terms with of how we falsely raised the hopes of the Shiites in the south of Iraq. And what has been done to them since then, draining those swamps, changing their lives after thousands of years. It's an atrocity what Saddam Hussein did to them.
It also shows how small the world is. I mean, here you've got a guy who you want to objectify as your enemy, And he has an MBA from an American university. And we bombed his convenience stores.
Yeah.
And then the guy is kept prisoner, our guy is kept prisoner, and he can use a cell phone to call his wife at home.
What's happening? What was that?
The wall just exploded.
I thought the war was over, honey.
Well, it isn't, babe. Could you do me a favor and call the reserve center?
What do you want me to do?
Tell the duty NCO I'm stuck in a bunker near 223 North outside Carballo, okay?
You know, when I look at movies like Three Kings, I think that one of the reasons we have wars is that we're kind of tribal. We think, well, we're the good guys and you're the bad guys, and we objectify you as evil. And movies help us to empathize with other people so that we can see things from more than just our own point of view. I think that's the most valuable thing a movie can do.
Yeah, I love that aspect of Three Kings. Mm-hmm. I hope there'll be more movies with, you know, you can only make so many things that are a wild ride like that, but I hope there'll be more such movies, because one of the things that most troubles me on the edge of this new millennium is that we have all this wonderful technology that is bringing us closer together and also throwing us into the future, and not just economically, but environmentally. There's a lot of hopeful things on the horizon. But you have to set that off against the fact that the biggest problem we have in human societies now is the oldest, most primitive problem, which is our tribalism, our tendency to go beyond a natural pride in our group, whether it's a racial or an ethnic or a religious group or whatever, to fear and distrust and dehumanization and violence against the other. And that is a big problem. So what we got to learn to do is not just to tolerate each other, but to actually celebrate our differences. And the only way you can do that is to be secure in the knowledge that your common humanity is more important than your most significant differences.
And movies can help do that.
And movies can help do that. I mean, it's really, really important. I've always loved the movies. And I still, so to me, as president, the best perk of the White House is not Air Force One or Camp David or anything else. It's the wonderful movie theater I get here, because people, you know, send me these movies all the time.
Yeah. Within the near future, you're going to have to find a new job, I guess. Would you enjoy doing something like running the MPAA?
Oh, I don't know. I'd enjoy doing anything to level you to see every new movie that came along.
That's what I was thinking.
And I like people in that line of work. But I never gave it any thought. I do want to find something useful to do. I want to be able to do something that will give me enough free time to pursue, as a citizen, the kinds of public issues that I can still make a difference in. Mm-hmm. Global and local reconciliation across racial and religious lines, and minimizing discrimination against gays, things that I've really worked on. Mm-hmm. The educational empowerment of children, the economic empowerment of poor people, the balancing of the environment and the economy. When a president leaves office, you've been given the greatest gift the American people can give, to be able to serve here, and you got to give something back.
You're wonderful. You would be a great...
Maybe I'll be your new partner.
We've had all these co-hosts on Siskel and Ebert.
Before we run out of tape, I got to say this. I liked and admired your partner, and I'm honored to be here with you. Gene was a great guy, and
Gene was. And his chat with you here was one of the high points of his entire life.
We loved it. We had such a good time.
Giorno.
So we have this one-day conference in Florence, and we're in this incredible old villa, and I look up, and there is Bocelli and Benigni. He brought him to see me. So I never met Benigni before, so Benigni comes running up to me and jumps in my arms, puts his legs around my waist, and starts waving his hands. It was unbelievable.
And what does the Secret Service do?
Well, they didn't know what to do. What
He's a real character.
Yeah, we probably should have had that on tape.
Maybe he does have it on tape. Oh, good. He knows me.
Okay. but anyway, but it was an amazing moment. You know, I just loved the guy.
Uh-huh.
That's also a great foreign film.
Yes, it is. Life is beautiful. Oh, I loved it.
I talk about the movies with a lot of people, and what amazed me was how well-informed the president was. He is a real moviegoer. That's it for this week's show. You can hear a transcript of our conversation at Ebert-movies.com, part of Go Network, and read my story at suntimes.com/Ebert. We'll be back next week with reviews of new movies.
I'm American. So let's go.
That's next week, and until then, the Rose Garden is closed.
I was forced to retire from the game because of a leg injury, but thanks to Inholtra's patented formula, I'm now pain-free. Stop the pain today with Inholtra and stay in the game.
When you have a plumbing problem, it affects the whole family. Take care of it quicker with Mr. Rooter.
Use Alpha Hydrox AHA treatment to improve the way your skin looks and feels. Bring back that youthful glow with Alpha Hydrox cream and lotion for softer, smoother skin.
Pop Secret is the only microwave popcorn made with real Land O'Lakes butter. Pop Secret, perfect popcorn is our passion.
Closed captioning for Roger Ebert in the Movies is brought to you by...
For serious oral care, use Rembrandt Whitening Toothpaste. For extra whitening with less abrasion. For a healthier mouth, for the life of your teeth. Rembrandt Toothpaste.